5-11 Tennessee Titans host the 9-7 Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is a big game here, guys. If the Jaguars lose this game, there's a chance they miss the playoffs entirely. If they win the division and they host a playoff game. For the Titans, this is possibly Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill's last game in a Titans uniform. Hey guys, Titan Uprising here. Thanks for tuning in. I've noticed a big uptick in subscribers, so if you guys are new, thank you for subscribing. I hope you like the channel. If you're new to the channel in general, this is your first time watching the video, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing many videos over the off season, a lot of mock drafts, a lot of breakdowns, so stay tuned. We're not done. I actually find it more enjoyable to do videos in the off season when, there's not a lot of content out there, and I want to bring it to you guys. Because during the season, there's content all the time, and for Titans fans, we all know there's not a lot of good covers out there for us, and I want to bring that to you if I can. So please subscribe, stay subscribed, like, comment, share. I comment back on everything, but let's dive into this, guys. So the Jags, Texans, and Colts are all sitting at 9-7, and the Jaguars are the only team that doesn't need any help. Now, if they win, they're in, and they win the division, and they host a playoff game. Now, Doug Peterson is currently 3-0 against the Titans as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he is looking to go 4-0. Now, if the Jags don't win this game, that would mean either the Colts or Texans win the division, but the Jags can still get in with some help. They would have a shot at the 7th seed, and that's it. But they would need the Steelers to lose to the Ravens and the Broncos to lose to the Raiders and the Colts and Texans game to not end in a tie. Now, the Broncos game matters due to strength of schedule that the Steelers hold currently over the Jags. Now, in my opinion, if the Jags lose, they don't make the playoffs. The Ravens are sitting players as they have clinched the 1 seed, and the Steelers are playing for their playoff lives. So I think Pittsburgh's truly going to, they're going to pull out all the stops. Ravens are going to be sitting starters. Not an ideal situation to be in for the Jags if you lose that game. Also, Trevor Lawrence is questionable, and I honestly don't see how he won't play in this football game with the playoffs on the line, but we don't know. He's questionable. They haven't told us what's going on yet. I personally don't see how he misses this game, though, at all. You got to figure he wants to be in there. The Jags, though, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games, and they were on a 4-game skid until they beat the lowly Carolina Panthers last week, 26-0. Now, the Jags are a better team by far with Lawrence than they are with Beathard, but regardless of who plays, I think they will need to lean on Travis Etienne as he was leaned on heavily last week when he went off for 102 yards on 16 carries and added 2 touchdowns onto those. The Titans aren't the run-stopping team they once were and have key players out for the season on defense like Jeffrey Simmons and Amani Hooker. Now, the Titans, like I said earlier, they could be saying goodbye to the Tannehill and Henry era. It was a good run. It really was. We had our highs. The AFC Championship game a few years ago, or more for a few years ago, it's probably 4 or 5 now. That was a real high for us. That was amazing. That was a nice run we went on. Obviously, I don't think it was so much due to Tannehill because he had very minimum throwing. That was all due to Henry. I'm not that heartbroken over Tannehill, but I am over Henry. If this is his last game as a Tennessee Titan, you guys all know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill. So this guy deserves... Derrick Henry, I should say. This guy deserves a ring to cement his Hall of Fame career. And Derrick Henry was the only player on the Tennessee Titans team to make the Pro Bowl, and that marks his 4th time. I'm kind of happy that we're sitting Will Levis because I don't want to see him get hurt any further behind this piss-poor offensive line. Now, I know we are not where we want to be as Titans fans, guys. I know this sucks, but as always, there are some things that I want to see and things that I want to track. Something that I've been tracking started last week is DeAndre Hopkins incentives, and he can hit a few of these here. Now let me pop this up on the screen for you guys, his current stats and what incentives he can still get. Now he earns $250,000 per each level of incentives that he hits. Now he's currently at 68 catches for 1,011 yards and 6 touchdowns. He can get $500,000 for 75 catches, $750,000 for 85 catches, and $1 million for 95 catches. Now, I think he'll hit the 75 here, but I don't think he's going to hit 85 or higher, which will be kind of, very highly unlikely. He's also 39 yards away from hitting the 1,050 yard bonus, which is the max that he can get. And that will be for $1 million. I think he'll hit that. 39 yards, he's going to get that. I think he hits it easy. He is halfway on the touchdowns with 6 touchdowns for $500,000. If he gets 8 touchdowns, he'll get $750,000. If he gets 10 touchdowns, he'll get $1 million. I think he ends up finishing all in all with $2 million in incentives, which is awesome. Good for you, DeAndre Hopkins. Happy for you. I can't wait for this guy to come back and continue to grow with Will Levis next year. And today he told reporters that Will Levis is in the top 3 quarterbacks he's played with in terms of competitiveness. He was asked who the other 2 are, but he said that is pay-per-view. So I was actually trying to think of who those guys might be. I was thinking it might be Deshaun Watson and maybe Matt Schaub. That's who I was thinking they might be. Because he didn't really exactly play with the greatest plethora of quarterbacks at Houston at all. And, I mean, Kyler Murray, I can't see that being who he's talking about either. But what I do like about Hopkins here is he seems to talk very highly of Will Levis any chance he can and very often. And it's clear they have a connection because he really took off with Levis at quarterback compared to Ryan Tannehill. Now, I really can't wait. Like I said earlier, I really can't wait to see these 2 next year. And I hope we draft a young wide receiver early for Hopkins to mentor. I don't know if Burks is the guy. Just lost a lot of faith in this guy due to injuries and just inconsistency and drop passes. Another year to prove us wrong. Hope he does. Now, I will pop up the injury report for you guys right now. And as always, which is a common theme the past few years, we have the Tennessee Titans injury report significantly longer than the opponents, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we have Colton Dowell out, Eric Garror, full participation. I want to see him out there. I want to see if he can get any better. Anthony Kendall out, Will Levis, he is our emergency, it says questionable, but he's the emergency 3rd-string quarterback. TK McClendon out, Nico Autry, full participation, he will be playing. Daniel Brunskill, questionable. Jalen Duncan, questionable. I expect both those guys to play. Caleb Farley out. He did not play a game this season. Hopefully he can put together an offseason this year and maybe do something, or there's a possibility he gets cut. I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins, just a rest. He's full participation. He's good to go. Caleb Murphy, questionable. I expect him to go. Sean Murphy-Bunting, full participation. Kevin Radar, full participation on Friday, but listed as questionable. I expect him to go. Trey Avery, full participation. Otis Reese, who I've been high on lately, full participation. He's going to be good to go. Watch him at inside linebacker, guys. Him and Aziz might be our inside linebackers next year unless we draft someone, or maybe we grab someone like a Devin White coming from Tampa Bay in the offseason. We have a lot of cap room next year, so it'll be interesting to see what we do there. But interested to see if Otis Reese can continue to grow. Running back Derrick Henry, just a rest there, full participation. Aaron Brewer, full participation. Hopefully it's our last game of seeing Aaron Brewer as our starting center, I hope. Now let's get into the Jags here. Wide receiver, Zay Jones, questionable. Christian Kirk, questionable. And Trevor Lawrence, questionable. Very big offensive weapons for them. You want, if you're the Jaguars, you want all 3 of those guys to play, obviously, with the main one being Trevor Lawrence. I think all 3 play. I don't see how they're going to miss this. They lose this game, there's a chance they don't make the playoffs. I'd say if they lose, like I said earlier, they lose, I don't think they make it. A lot has to happen, and you're banking on a Pittsburgh Steelers team that needs a win to get in, and the Ravens are sitting their players. I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. So I expect all 3 of those guys to play. And you have Ezra Cleveland, Walker Little, and C.J. Beathard all good to go, full participations. So that's the injury report for you guys here. Now, guys, I don't trust this offensive line for the Tennessee Titans. How can we? It's just, they're horrible. Absolutely horrible. And Josh Allen right now for the Jags is currently at 16 and a half sacks on the season, which has him in second place because there's a league leader, I should say tied league leader in sacks they have 17 apiece, TJ Watt and Trey Hendrickson. So Josh Allen's only half a sack away from those guys. Guys, Josh Allen's going to have a good chance here to come away with a league lead in sacks because he's facing this piss poor Tennessee Titans offensive line. That sucks. We're going to give the Josh Allen and Jaguars a league leading sacker because our line's horrible. That's great, isn't it? Just love it. I'm sorry, guys. This offensive line, I can't stand them. How are we worse than last year? That should be impossible. It really should be impossible, but it's not. If we get worse somehow next year, I don't know. I'm half tempted to say blow it all up. I want to see Vrabel get another shot with a competent roster. Because you guys, if you haven't watched my video, and I know I brought this up before, watch my video on how John Robinson set this team back for years with his drafting. This is what we're in. It's frustrating because we're living in the now. You got to remember how we got here. It's unfortunate. Now, speaking of the Titans' offensive line, one of the last things I'm watching for in this game is offensive lineman Dylan Radins, because he actually had a really good run blocking grade in week 13 against the Colts with 92.2 as his rating. It's really good. And last week against the Texans, he had a good one as well, 70.7. Obviously not as high as 92.2, but 92.2 is elite. So last week against the Texans, he had 70.7 run blocking grade. So he's had showings of good run blocking. Unfortunately, he has a league-leading 8 false start penalties, despite only starting 10 games, which is just highly unacceptable. But that can be fixed with coaching and the more games he plays. And some evidence to the more games he plays fixing it, he hasn't had a penalty in the past 3 weeks. So maybe he's put it behind him. Maybe he needs, maybe he ends up being a guard or takes another step at right tackle over the offseason. But he is a guy I'm going to be watching because he could end up being a cheap depth piece for us. I think he's due a little over $1 million next year. And we all know we need offensive line help. So either he continues to grow or is a depth piece for us next year. Regardless, we're adding offensive linemen to this roster. We have to. There's no way we don't. We just don't have the talent. But I do like also how he spoke out last week after last week's game and said, it's not like we're not trying. It shows he cares. I like that. I want to see emotion out of players. Because I know I would be. I'm passionate. I would get mad if I was out there sucking. I mean, you got to know these guys read articles. They probably see videos. The offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. They probably don't want to hear that. So it's nice that he's shown glimpses of bright spots that he can shine in certain areas, like the run blocking. Maybe he can get better. He's been a disappointment so far, just like many of J-Rob's past few drafts. That's why he's fired. Speaking of which, do you see that John Robinson actually might be a candidate for New England Patriots? That would be funny. By the way, if he does go to the New England Patriots, you can basically cancel out Mike Vrabel going there, because I highly doubt Vrabel's going to want to go back there if J-Rob's there. Just saying. Now, let's get into draft picks, guys. The Titans can pick anywhere between 4 and 8. They currently hold the 7th overall pick. And if they win this game, the worst they can go to is 8. There's a chance they win and they can pick this, and they can have the 6th overall pick, But that is highly unlikely because if they do win, they'd need the Chargers, Bills, Cowboys, Ravens, Cardinals, and Jets to win in order for them to have the 6th overall pick. Now, the path for them to get to the 4th overall pick the 4th overall pick is way easier to track, by the way, but it also starts foremost with a Titans loss. Now, they lose, they're going to stay at the 7th pick, okay? Now, if they lose and one of these teams that I'm about to bring up wins as well over their opponents, they'll move up one pick. So, for instance, the Titans, if they lose, they'll be at the 7th overall pick. Now, if the Cardinals beat the Seahawks, they'll move up a pick. If the Giants beat the Eagles, they'll move up a pick. And if the Chargers beat the Chiefs, they'll move up a pick. Okay? Now, it doesn't have to be in that order, just any of those games. So if any of those teams win and Titans lose, they move up per each of those teams wins. So the only team out of those that actually needs to win for a playoff spot is the Seahawks, which is the Cardinals over the Seahawks. We want the Cardinals to win over the Seahawks, but Seahawks are playing for their playoff lives. They also need to win and have the Packers lose or a tie. So you got to imagine the Cardinals probably aren't beating the Seahawks, but it's a possibility. It did beat the Eagles recently, so hey. Now, the Chiefs, for instance, though, against the Chargers, the Chiefs are sitting a good chunk of their players, like Mahomes, but we don't know with the Eagles yet when they play the Giants. Sounds like they might want to play to get over this funk they've been in. So, in my opinion, I do think Seahawks beat the Cardinals, which is unfortunate for us. And then I do think if the Eagles play their starters, they're going to beat the Giants. So, if we lose and the Chargers beat the Chiefs, we will be picking 6. And I'll get towards the end of the video, that's where I think we're going to be picking. Now, I want to pick the Titans to win this game because I feel like it would be fitting for them to play spoiler for the Jags, with it being Tannehill's last game as a Titan and possibly Derrick Henry's. It would also seem fitting for Tannehill to screw us one last time and make us have a higher draft pick because he just wants to screw us one more time. Why not? This also feels like a game the Titans should lose, and all of us Titans fans know if we feel like they're going to lose, they're probably going to win. It's just the way it works. It's the way this team's been for as long as I can remember. I just can't picture this offensive line for the Titans stopping the Jags pass rush. I can't picture it. I really can't. And I don't feel like the defense is going to be able to stop Trevor Lawrence and the Jags offense. Even if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, Travis Etienne's going to be getting 20 carries. He's going to be getting catches out of the backfield, too. Yeah, remember, Travis Etienne's a weapon. He's going to be getting multiple looks. He'll probably touch the ball 20, 25 times. He's a weapon. It's going to be hard to stop that guy. And like I said earlier, we don't have guys like Jeffrey Simmons in there or Amani Hooker. We're missing guys. So it's not good. I have this game being 31-17 Jags over Titans. And like I said earlier, I think that brings us to the 6th overall pick because I think that the Chargers are going to beat the Chiefs. So there we have it, guys. I predict us to lose 31-17 to the Jags, to finish the season 5-12, and to be picking with the 6th overall pick in the draft. And guys, I've been saying all along that I really do feel like you don't ever want to root for your team to lose. And I don't. But this season, we're not going anywhere. It's over. It's hard to even, like I said, it's hard for me to even try to find value in watching the games because a lot of these guys aren't even going to be on the team next year. We have a lot of cap room, a lot of one-year deals. Tannehill's not going to be here. I don't care about watching him. I'd rather see Malik out there, but it's not going to happen unless Tannehill gets hurt, which behind this offensive line is, who knows, possibility. Don't wish injuries upon anybody, but this offensive line sucks. The things that got me watching this game really is I want to see Dylan Radins. I want to see if he continue to grow. I'm kind of keeping an eye on Eric Aurora, keeping an eye on Otis Reese. Those are the guys I'm watching. I want to see if Peter Skoronski can continue to develop at guard. I want to see DeAndre Hopkins hit his incentives. Maybe Burks can make some plays. Maybe Chig can do better. It sucks because, a lot of things that's been keeping me like enthused and entertained, or I should say, or focused on Titans games, is watching Will Levis's development, because I want to see him continue to grow. And we were seeing that. And, being out of the playoffs, you almost, for a while now, we've been out of the playoffs for weeks, it's hard to find things that you want to see, because let's be honest, I want a higher draft pick. I do. There's no point in us winning a game and picking later. I mean, I get it. Mike Vrabel's upset. He hates losing. And I posted a YouTube short on that. He wants to win. These guys want to win. I get it. It'd be nice to send out Tannehill and Henry on a win as well. But I'm also trying to think of what this does for the future of the Tennessee Titans. If we can get as high as pick 4 by chance, think about this. If Caleb Williams the Bears are going to probably trade that first overall pick. Justin Fields is not going anywhere. Seems like DJ Moore really wants to keep him. Unless the front office wants to lose some of their players like DJ Moore, who knows? But I see the Bears trading that pick. Maybe the New England, I don't know. And Washington's sitting at 2. So if you take Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 2, or you can flip them even. Some people have Drake May being better. And then maybe somebody wants to take like Michael Penix. And then maybe Marvin Harrison comes in at pick 4 for us. That would be ideal. But if the Patriots are picking 3 and they trade up, or they're picking 2 and they trade up, depending on how the order shakes out with the Bears are probably going to take Marvin Harrison. So the closer we can get to the higher pick, what I'm saying is we can get maybe Marvin Harrison, or maybe there's another quarterback that creeps up the draft board that everybody really likes, and we can trade back and accumulate more picks, because we have a lot of holes. We really do. Or maybe we can take like a Joe Alt, or one of the best tackles in the draft. There's benefits to us having a higher draft pick. There is. I mean, look at a lot of the players we got for their interim when we had the number 1 overall pick and we traded with the Rams when they wanted Jared Goff. With those picks, we got guys like Derrick Henry. We had a Dory Jackson. He didn't do much, but he was good for the time being. We had a lot of picks and players that we had. That's how we saw some of the runs that we went on in the playoffs. Those are players that we had from those picks, and they're cheap too, because you're not having to go out and sign a free agent for $5 million a year. Instead, you're having a rookie for $5-6 million his entire contract. These matter. So that's where I'm leaning to. It's hard, as always, for me to root for this team to lose, I should say. But I'm trying to look toward the future. And we'll see what happens, guys. But like I said, 31-17 Jags. And as always, guys, tighten up. Stay with me all off season. We'll be here.